We've got some new maps in Halo Infinite. 343 added a community collection playlist to the game a week ago. It features 4 maps, all made in Forge, all made by the community. I played them, and they're fun. So I figured with new maps means new skill jumps. So in the next few videos, I'm going to do a skill jump tour, I guess, of each one of these maps. We're going to walk through the map, talk a bit about what I've noticed as far as movement and jumps, share my thoughts on the maps in general, whether or not they work for competitive play, because some of these are very interesting, very unique in design. I can't wait to get into it, so let's just break them down. We're going to start with Perilous. If you guys like this content, you want to see more of it, just make sure to sub. We got more coming. This map is called Perilous. It's made by Blaze Lightcap. He previously worked at 343. Now he designs maps for Splitgate. And I think I can see maybe a little bit of the Splitgate influence here. I definitely see a lot of Lockout on this map. This map is damn beautiful. I think, honestly, out of the 4, it might be my favorite just on the uniqueness factor and the way that it weaves in classic Halo elements like Lockout, like Guardian in its map design. You've got open sight lines right off the bat, and you've got interesting like verticality as well. Look at all the verticality that I can just see from the highest point. This is the highest point on the map right here. But as we rotate around, you'll see there's a lot of really interesting angles and sight lines. There's a sniper and a skewer on this map as well. Interesting setup for competitive. I do think we got an OS here too. I do think that this could work in competitive play. Maybe. I'd like to see it. And as we kind of jump through, I'll have more thoughts, but definitely not a CTF map, right? It's definitely not symmetrical. You can tell this is an ASIM. But maybe for Slayer, maybe for King of the Hill, Oddball potentially as well. A lot of places to throw the ball off here. And Strongholds. My only question now is where to begin, because there's so much going on with this map. It's so intricately designed. Like, I feel like I could be here for a very long time, but I figure we'll start here on blue side. You can tell it's blue because the railings are all colored in blue. You can stand on any of these railings across the entire map with a step jump, by the way. You just push into the wall, and while you're holding forward, hit jump. It'll perfectly step you up onto the ledge, and that sets you up for a quick curb slide if you time that correctly. Even just in general, knowing you can do this is nice for, you know, making small adjustments in your movement depending on the situation. Got this box you can slide off here too. If you line up the slide off the left corner, it'll jet you up the ramp. Just make sure to place your reticle as you kind of soar out so you're ready for a fight here. You can also line up a curb slide off the right edge of the box. This is an edge lineup slide. Talked about this a few times. You sprint off on an angle and kind of fast fall, and then time your crouch right before you hit the floor, and it'll jet you down the ramp a little quicker. Once we're down here, I love what he's done with the map to kind of create this like overgrown kind of feel with, you know, your forestry kind of coming up over all the environment here, and the use of mushrooms in the environment to create skill jumps and different routes. So we've got like a little mushroom you can stand on here. Not too much you can do with it, but this one's really cool. It's clamber height, but if you walk to the top of it and then jump, hold, crouch, it perfectly crouch jumps you up to this ledge on top of the railing, which sets you up for a curb slide. So you're looking at a nice little connection. You can make it even more seamless. If you're coming from the floor, you jump to this little mushroom, jump to this blue railing piece here, then crouch jump, and then crouch jump again, and then curb slide, and you got like a whole seamless rotation all connected in this one spot, which is pretty sweet. You can also clamber the tree structure here as well. And there's also a weapon pad, BR, that spawns here, and you can sit on it, which is great to see. There's not always collision on these weapon pads, but I love that Blaze has added collision to these because it actually creates a skill jump in this section that you could do forward or backwards to jump on top of this little piece of the tree. And depending on how you line yourself up, you could maybe, you know, skip your clamber or clamber up to this ledge on top. Any of these weapon pads or racks that you can stand on can potentially be slid off of as well, which is the beauty of having collision on these weapon racks. So you could set this up for a rotation too. Say you got to back out of a gunfight, sit here, and then, you know, perfectly hit the slide, jet yourself out to the ramp. I'm going to try my best to be quick and decisive with like every section of the map here because there's just so much. Like, he's added collision to so many different pieces of the map, and it's just good to keep this in mind. Once you know you can do this, you can maybe apply it in game, right? So just jump, hold, crouch. You can sit up on this little sign here. You've got this ledge that you can stand on as well. A pretty tough edge lineup curb slide. You can set up on it too. Just keep in mind, like, you're opening yourself up to these angles, so being able to like find a way to somehow incorporate your aim and hit the launch when it makes sense to do so is just something to keep in mind. This one, not too many people, I think, know just yet, but there's a ledge that you can stand on and walk along here. I love this personally. I hope that something like this does not get removed from the map. I know that, you know, as far as readability goes, maybe you could argue that it's less readable. You can clearly see it's jutting out, but it's just what I love about it is it keeps you in the fight, right? Like, so if you're making a rotation and you want to get an angle on any of these spots, right? Like, you can do so walking backwards and jumping backwards, and it just makes this area, it just gives flow to this area while without cutting you out of the engagement entirely. So really cool little option there. Let's make our way to the sniper. We're going to do some sort of like a weird winding route through this map, but we can curb slide off like the planter here. You can hit an angled slide down the stairs and send yourself to the snipe real quick. I know I got a bad habit, so I'm just going to get that off the map so I don't YY too much. Here's a nice little setup, though. So we got more of these mushrooms. Always try to look out. The clear theme on this map is look out for the mushrooms that you can jump on, because he set these up to create different routes and skill jump options to get around here. And a good way to get on those mushrooms is to stand on this panel and then curb slide off of it. You can actually, you know, connect the jump together without having to kind of run and set it up, which is pretty cool. You got another weapon pad here that you can sit and slide off of. This is a great little connection here. And why I love having collision on this object is it just gives you a way to fast chow out to the engagement. If you want that angle really quickly, if you want to go grab the snipers, you kind of come by, you can connect those together seamlessly. There is one spot here. If we're talking about what to remove, what to keep on this map, this spot I might remove. So there's a little ledge with collision right here on the side. And if you jump carefully and land on this tiny little ledge and then late jump, yeah, you got it, because you fall off it because you got too much weight when you're falling down. But if you late jump and then crouch and shimmy, you can tuck yourself in the corner. And something like this, I would say, is probably going to get patched. It just doesn't add to gameplay, right? It's kind of like a hide spot. Typically, you want a skill jump that's going to keep you in the action, that's going to be, you know, have some risk to it. Maybe you can argue having just the outer ledge like possible to stand on, but everything else I'd expect to go. Right here, we've got an interesting connection that you risk your life to jump across. Know that there's like poison, some kind of poison or something. If you hit the floor, you die. Do not fall, obviously, kind of like Lockout. The one big difference, and something I'll talk about later, is just how it kind of works with the grapple. But yes, we have this jump here. We've got all these little ledges that can be slid off. This area can be actually accessed from down low. You can step jump up to it if you want as well, and then jump and look up, and you can reach this with a clamber. It just needs to be a well-spaced jump. So much attention to detail in all these areas, though, right? Like there's a little barrel on the side you can curb slide off of. Got more mushrooms here that you can use to jump up to mid. You can use them to slide potentially as well. Like if you line up an edge, line up curb slide here, assuming the map doesn't have performance issues. This is one thing that I think kind of holds this map back from success as far as like competitive is concerned. I do feel like this Forge map, more so than some of the others, kind of suffers performance-wise. I find Salvation has that issue as well. But when it's working, it's great, right? This is just like a hurdle, I think, to get over with Forge. Got some more mushrooms in this corner right here that you can use to have like a different route to access this area, right? So there's so many different options and routes that make navigating this map so fun. Now, there was a repulsor here that I picked up. There's one spot here I'm curious to hear the comments, thoughts on. What do you guys think of this? Something like this is repulsor exclusive. You got to jump repulse to stand here. Once you're up here, you can't go anywhere, right? Like you can get an angle for a brief second, maybe land a cool snipe, but you're seen. And once you're seen, you're forced to drop, right? To stay alive. So this is one of those spots where it's like, yes, it's a high angle. Yes, it's unpredictable, but I wouldn't consider it OP. I'd say this is fair game and honestly pretty cool because it's repulsor exclusive and it spawns right beside repulsor. While we're here, we got a disruptor pistol on the wall. Can we also just talk about how seamless this whole area is to slide through? Like, look at this. It's just butter, right? Like I don't know if these are mushrooms, by the way, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe they're sunflowers. Like, what the heck is this? But you can slide off it, which is really all that matters to me sometimes. This is crouch jump capable. Nice crouch jump is going to connect you between these spots. You've got this little area down here that connects to shock rifles that you can kind of hit like an angled curb slide through, just remember to place your reticle when you're doing this stuff, right? Like, sometimes you don't want to be moving quickly. It's just nice to know you have the option. Using it at the right time is what matters most. But a mangler that spawns here, another weapon pad, and what I'm trying to do is hit an angled slide out for a challenge. You'd be looking up at skewer while you do that. You can also go this way, hit a crouch jump that connects you onto this railing, and then hit a curb slide off the railing for a nice fast rotate through. So a lot of really cool seamless connections. Just a room here, nothing you can actually jump on in this spot as you go up to mid. We're going to go around, though. I know I'm kind of everywhere. We've got, I believe, a BR, yep, that spawns here. This is probably my favorite weapon rack to slide off on the map, and one that I recommend everybody learns how to do. Because of the way the rack is positioned, it's farther out. You got more space to stand on it, making a slide very reliable and consistent to hit on this one. And something to keep in mind with these weapon racks, if you pull them out of the wall a little bit more, you can increase the consistency and make it a little bit more accessible for everybody to use this for a rotation, depending on what you want on your map, right? Like you can see I'm just setting up a bunch of wild ones here, but this one would be an edge lineup just because of the height of the object and send you straight out through mid, which is pretty wild. These mushrooms, sunflowers, I don't know what to call them. There's one down here. This one is sneaky, to be honest. If you drop down here, maybe you can temporarily stay alive and then clamber right back up. There's this whole connection, though. Remember, you can step jump to kind of set this up nicely, and then sprint jump, and you can completely clear this section. You got a whole new route to OS. So really interesting ways to navigate these spots here without the requirement of a repulsor or grapple. That said, if you have a repulsor, you've got like a sick route to get back up here too, right? So it's just so much creativity that I'm just trying to show you guys in one little video. This is a nice curb slide connection too. Sends you all the way to the ledge, and then you can connect it into a second one straight to skewer. So you can just see the potential here for some fast rotations depending on the scenario. While we're up here, you can jump from this box straight up to this top part of the map with a crouch jump. You can just barely reach it with a crouch jump. Like if you don't sprint and you just jump, hold, crouch, you almost have to clamber. Like it's pretty tight with the timing, and if you miss the jump, you die. So you really want to be careful. I do find it kind of unfortunate that it's like this far of a distance, because it means that you have to commit yourself by looking at it. You can't just like jump backwards, which I think would be ideal. I was thinking it would be cool if there was like a little bar sitting right here so I could jump backwards and shoot things as I navigate to the top of the map. I just figure that would be kind of a seamless way to create flow here without, you know, removing the risk, because you're jumping backwards, you die if you miss it. So I don't know. That's just my thought. You've got this elevator shaft, which is super unique. We'll jump down there in a second. We'll go, maybe let's go a different route. Over here, you can see there's a lift. This lift throws you up to the top area of this map. You can pass the lift if you jump off this mushroom and jump past it, you can get over it. Or what I do sometimes, note that if you're lining up a curb slide here, you're exposing yourself to an angle through the center of the map. So it's risky to set this up sometimes, but you can also curb slide yourself past the lift here as well. Just don't go too far. You can kill yourself this way too. We've got a commando that spawns down here. It is possible to line up a slide here, but difficult. Here's the elevator. The reason I said let's go from this area at the bottom is because a grapple spawns down here. So this is pretty damn cool. You've got a grapple. Before we even go up the elevator, you've got this little seamless connection with crouch jumps. This whole area is connected, of course, with these mushrooms, which is pretty sick. We might have to burn a grapple. And then this area, you can tell, is just like designed to work with grapple, right? You can use either repulsor or grapple. The way that it's spaced, it's just tall enough to let you repulsor jump it as well, which is really cool if you have a repulsor. Once you are up here, if you're trying to stay alive, what's pretty sick is Blaze has designed it so there's a tiny little ledge that you can just jump into. And you can do this backwards as well. If you hold crouch and jump from a crouch position, so you get like a low altitude jump, you can very carefully jump back into this window. So you're not fully committing yourself. You can still keep the high ground and maybe jump back into the action, dodge and nade at the same time. So I find that personally really sick. And then if you do miss it or if you fall, there you go. You're on the bottom. There's actually a ledge here as well. I don't know if this is like too powerful or what, but like let's say you're committed. You're in trouble. You got no escape. You can jump up here, dodge a nade, maybe get your shields back, force them to kind of engage you. Kind of a cheeky spot, I'll be honest, but this is possible. You can also, the ledge is kind of sloped upwards, at the edge, I think, which sort of messes up sliding. So I recommend, again, edge lining up if you want to curb slide out of here. Something I find with the grapple on this map that might be slightly inconvenient is the floor of the map is super, like, high, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, there's not much space, right? Like, if you want to make a play under the map with the grapple, you're risking death, right? Like, you can fall and hit the ground very quickly, as opposed to a map like, let's say, Lockout, where you fall for a much longer period of time. You have more space to pull it off. You could just say that's, like, you know, skill issue and, you know, keep it that way. At the same time, it'd be kind of cool to see how the map would play if the floor was lowered even more, so that you have more space to make like a under map play with the grapple or something. Maybe that's too wild. I don't know. You can let me know what you guys think. More areas in the map here, though. We got the OS that spawns in this section. There's actually little cubbies that you can sit in, maybe while you wait for OS, and they're curb slide height as well. So if you want to, you know, wait and then maybe hit like an angled one to grab the OS, you can pull it off like that. These are collision. They have collision on them. So you can crouch jump and stand on them. This jump is very tough to do, but you can actually stand on the front of this sign here as well. I hold crouch. Oh my god, Forge is not liking me. I hold crouch and jump from a crouch position and then try to like wrap myself around. It's very difficult. If you got a repulsor, it's easy, but maybe you can sit there and wait for OS. We'll see what the devs think of that one. Personally, I wouldn't hate it if it was gone, but kind of a nifty spot. You can reach that jump as well or die trying like I just did. You just stand on that little post, sprint jump. You can clamber the mushroom to get up top of that section. So just so many different ways to navigate this map, right? Like, it's kind of nuts. And honestly, it makes it fun. At the same time, it makes me wonder, how would this play in competitive? As much as I love the layout in the center, there's just so much going on, right? Like the verticality, there's so many different segments. There's an elevator. There's just like a lot of area to play in. I just wonder how that would work, if that would be too much for a competitive environment. This slanted object, by the way, you can sprint jump and line up a drop slide on it. And if you hit it nice, it jets you like straight through center map. What's cool about drop sliding in this game is you can jump, throw nades, and still land and set up the drop slide at the same time. So if you got good movement, you don't have to completely negate the ability to like do damage. You can set up a nade throw center map and then still hit the rotate, which is kind of sweet to just to know it's possible. Looks like this section is connected as well. You can drop down to bottom mid or jump back up with a repulsor or with a grapple. I like this sign too. This is a nice touch. Little falling man. Warning. You know, don't drop. This whole area connects real nice. Here's one more cheeky spot. What do you guys think of this one? I actually don't hate this one. It's very vulnerable and out in the open. You need to have a grapple. You need to have a repulsor to get into it. So I don't mind it. I think you could use it temporarily for a sick play, and then you're going to have to get out of here and stay alive. So a lot of little spots like that. I hope they don't just, you know, gut a lot of this stuff, because I do think it adds personality and excitement to getting around. But ultimately, that's Perilous, man. I think this map is pretty damn great. It plays really well for FFA. Also, by the way, I played a lot of FFA here. I do think for a competitive like setup, it might be a little bit too big. You guys can let me know what you think. I do think that this style of layout, like this lockout open center style with verticality, is sorely needed in competitive. We need more maps like this, I think, because team shooting and crossfire is like a big part of competitive Halo, and I think the open center, open sight lines, you know, makes that a reality, makes that a possibility. So this style I really appreciate. I don't know if there's like just too much maybe in this map, but as somebody who likes movement and skill jumps, I can definitely appreciate it all. Either way, that's Perilous. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Good luck with all the new skill jumps and movement inspiration. Just use it wisely. There's a lot of ways to die on this map. I'll be looking at Starboard next, so if you guys like this content, make sure to like and hit the bell. If you're a subscriber, the new videos coming out soon, you'll get the notification. If you like the jump content, I got a lot more jump content. Some of it is right beside me. Until I see you next time, though, good luck on the way.